16, yes, it might be 16. Here, let's open up a new window and make sure I know what I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and open a new window. Zorin OS beta. Yep, 16. Sorry, it is not 6. So we're going to be checking that out. Let's see. Zorin OS 16, I do thank you. And I'm pretty sure Zorin is an Ubuntu-based or Debian-based system. So we're going to go with Debian 64-bit. Next, let's give it 8 gigabytes of RAM. And create a new disk. VirtualBox. I'm not sure the minimum requirements, but we'll give it 128. That should be... No, let's not do that. Let's go 64. Okay, let's start this up. It's Ubuntu Base. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Again, it is the 4th of July, so happy 4th to those of you who are in the United States. Let's go to... There it is. Open. Choose and start. Okay, let's see how this looks like. One of the things I always look for when distributions come out is their native VirtualBox support. It's always nice when it already has the VirtualBox drivers built in, but I know that does not happen too often. So what we're going to do real quick here is, yes, I will be... can Pop! OS be full screen in VirtualBox? Yes, it can. And I can show you that real quick, but we want to get this installed first. I'm going to go ahead and check my VirtualBox, make sure it's on the right window. So let's go to... Is it this one? Nope, nope, nope. I think it is this one. There we go. So let's go ahead and OK that. And then we will drag this up and get rid of this status bar here. So let's show the status bar. Oh no, I got rid of the chat. There we go. Okay, so let's check out Zorin OS. It is the 4th, so I will be having pub beer. So, yeah. While we wait for this to boot up. Zorin OS is an April build, I do believe so. Okay, I tried Windows 11, but I just couldn't. Hello there, Allison. How are you doing? No, I did not. Okay, so it does not look like Zorin OS is going to have VirtualBox driver support out of the box. So we're going to hit try and try to change this resolution so you all can see this a little bit better. Because it is not fun to see VirtualBox running at 600 by 800 native resolution. That is not fun. So, Zorin OS is looking rather beautiful. Display settings here. Let's go to... Do we have 1080p out of the gate? That would be cool. It's unlikely though. Let's just go with 1360 for now. That way it will be kind of zoomed in so y'all can see what's going on here. Dun, dun, dun. Here. Sorry, Matt. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Okay, it looks like I'm having a little bit of an issue with the bottom bar in VirtualBox when I went ahead and did that resizing. So, let's, I think it would be... How would I fix that? I need to view the bottom status bar. So let's show the status bar and then remove it, and that should fix it. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead. So it's looking beautiful out of the gate, and it is pretty responsive. I haven't changed any of the processor settings or anything. So let's go ahead and install this. Let's see what we got going on here. It might be a little laggy because, like I said, well, like I just said, I should have edited those processor settings, but we're going to go ahead and check this out here. So let's continue. We are English, continue. Download updates, sure. Install third-party drivers, sure. So let's continue. And then while it downloads, or while it installs, we will go ahead and talk to the chat. We have some opinions here. Zorin is so bad. I don't like Zorin in dark mode. We will be checking all of that out. Well, bad is an opinion, but I can't say I agree nor disagree with you yet. I haven't used Zorin in quite a while. Welcome to those of you from India. People from India make up about 35% of my audience, so thank you all for tuning in and watching. So let's continue here. Alright, your name. My name is Brandon. And we're going to call this Zorin as the computer name. Like I said in other videos, because, not Zornin, Zorin. Oh, it already exists. So let's do Zorin-PC. Good enough. And then password. I'm not going to say this out loud like I've done accidentally in the past. And we'll require that to log in. Okay. So now we are installing. And now I will talk to the chat. Let's take a sip of a beverage. In celebration of Independence Day here in the United States. Usually I would be out blowing things up, but due to the heat and the dryness of the area, most people are not doing that in attempt to avoid setting half of our state on fire. That is something I'm trying to avoid. What's Pop! OS's DE? Is it lightweight? It is lightweight. It's technically Gnome, but with all their extensions and modifications, it's called the Cosmic Desktop Environment. But yes, it is fairly lightweight. So greetings from Brazil. Hello, Brazil here. Welcome to all of you from Brazil. What are the advantage of Zorin above Ubuntu or Mint? To be frank, not much. Not much. It's mostly just an aesthetic preference out of the gate with Zorin, but we're checking out the beta. I don't know much about it, so they might have added new features, things like that. So we're going to figure out. Mint, personally, is my favorite distribution to recommend to new people, either Mint or Pop! OS because of their NVIDIA support. But we're going to go ahead and scroll down. It's 2 a.m. in India, so I do wish you a good night's sleep. The layout switcher is cool, that is true. I'm going to go back look at Zorin. Ubuntu DDE is super cool. I used that for a couple days, but I was having issues with it when it comes to the buttons, like in a GIMP and KDE, not KDE, in a Kdenlive. Some of the buttons using the deep-in desktop environment were blown out, so then the button was there, but the little icon and the buttons were like cut off in half. I just had some issues like that with it. I think there is tech support. Yeah, I think... Here, let's go ahead and switch. I'm going to drop this down here. And what we're going to do is see if I have a window open. I do. Let's go on the Zorin OS webpage real quick. Here it is. Let's move this right here. There are paid versions of Zorin, as this guy mentions here. I do not think Zorin is worth switching to from Pop! OS, in my opinion. We're just checking out Zorin because it's new. Well, they're coming out with the new beta, so we're getting a good feel of it today. If I go ahead and go over to download, you can see that we can download for only $39. And that's Zorin Ultimate. They have other versions too, like Zorin Core, Zorin Lite, which is a XFCE desktop. But like the Core has everything you need, and the let's learn more about the paid version. Zorin or Pop! OS. Personally, I would definitely go with Pop! OS just because I'm really a fan of their Cosmic Desktop environment. It's basically Gnome, and Gnome is pretty good. And I don't know, I'm just biased. I really do like Pop! OS. Zorin team have a paid version. We're looking at the paid version now, so it looks like that the paid version has the 6 different desktop layouts, so you can pick between Mac OS, Windows, touch layout, the Windows Classic layout. You could go with straight up GNOME 3, and you have the Ubuntu layout. So that's seems to be like the main thing. But you could get that with the non-paid version. They're just trying to make some money for the project, which is completely understandable. So what we're going to do, we're going to check on this. We are almost done. It is finishing up installing the packages. So let's go ahead and pop this over here and wait for this to finish up here. Yeah, the desktop environments can be created with extensions, but there's really no major advantages to the paid version, unless if you're somebody who really likes the Zorin project. Get the paid version because it helps them out, it funds the development, things like that. But for somebody who's like wanting to try it out, you don't need to get the paid version. But yeah, I haven't asked for a while. How's the audio? Is the background music too loud or too quiet? One sec. All right, we are back. 1 minute remaining. Audio sounds good. Very good. Thank you, Schooner. I do appreciate. All right. So, let's jump back to display capture and skim around the Zorin OS website just a little bit more while this finishes up. Is there background music? Yeah, I can turn it up a little bit. If it gets too loud, please let me know. So right about there is a little bit higher. Okay, so let's see what else. They have computers, so they have Starbook, Ultrabooks, which for the price is pretty high. I can't hear any music. How about now? Are you running the Zorin VM inside Windows VM? No, this is Windows 11 on my primary computer at the moment. I talked about in this in the previous video or previous live stream that I'm going to be running Windows 11 for about a month, just so I could get a feel for it and actually know what I'm talking about when I'm going to be doing videos on it, recommending people Linux distributions that are similar to it, things like that. No, I have not quit Linux. I am only running Windows 11 so I can have a feel for it, and so then when I reference it in videos I do in the future, I actually know what I'm talking about. Either Pizza Hut. I'm not necessarily loving it. I'm using another hard drive. So it's a different hard drive. I still have Endeavor OS on another hard drive with all my stuff on it, all my programs. So I didn't wipe my Linux drive. I just installed this on a different hard drive. And I've been running it for a week, and I'm going to run it for at least 3 more weeks, just so I can get a really good feel for it. So if I do need to talk crap, or if I need to recommend other distros or anything like that, I can do that properly. Okay. Windows 11 is free if you already have Windows 10, or if you have a computer that came with Windows 10 and already has the key built into it. Pop! OS or Solus. Personally, I like Pop! OS, but Solus is great. I did a whole review similar to kind of what I'm doing with Windows, where I actually used it for a whole 30 days and gave a dedicated review on the fact. So we're going to go ahead and test this out. So let's restart this machine. You guys are going to see some flashes and some VirtualBox stuff. So let's go ahead and remove our install medium and then hit enter. There we go. Close that out. What features does Windows 11 have that you wish Linux distros would have? None, really. I mean, with Linux, you can have it be whatever you want it to be. With Windows, you get what you get. The little tiling thing, here, I'll show you. the little tiling feature, if I move this like that, and let's zoom in here real quick. There we go. This right here, if I hover over this and you can see kind of how I have the tiling options built in, I think that is super cool, but that's something you could probably easily do on a Linux machine. Yeah, as you were recommending, you could also recommend hardware. I'm really biased to AMD stuff, so I have a Radeon graphics card, I have a Ryzen CPU. So, especially with Linux, the native support that comes out of that is just awesome. Okay, so we're going to log into Zorin. This is my first login, and then we're going to try to fix this resolution here. Well, my first login to an installed system. I really haven't played with it too much. Any updates on Elementary? Not at the moment. I haven't heard anything or seen anything come out. My thoughts on the TPM 2.0 requirement for Windows 11. Absolute garbage. I forgot the exact generation where they cut off support, but you can't have old processors, and there's people who bought computers that are like 3 years old that you can't technically have Windows 11 on, and to me that is just one of the silliest things that you could do. Granted, you can use registry things to bypass it and get Windows 11 loaded, but overall, it's just absolutely silly, some of the requirements they put forward. And honestly, that's probably a good thing for the Linux community in the long run, because people just bought a computer a couple of years ago and they're not going to be able to upgrade. And then in, 4 years, Windows 10 support ends. And at that point, I mean, it was a bad move for Windows, and I think it's ultimately going to be a good thing for the Linux community, what they decided to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and get VirtualBox drivers, because I want to make sure everything on here works good, and everything's updated and all that before I start playing around with this. So let's pop that in. There we go. Right, if we did, that'd be cool. But yeah, the hardware requirements and all that for Windows 11 is just silly. Like, I posted something on Twitter. I got my old ThinkPad working, which it's pretty old. I think it's 2013 or 2014 era ThinkPad, and I got it to work with Windows 11 with a simple registry edit, and it works fine. If you have an older machine that you for some reason want to run Windows 11 on, you can. You just have to do a registry edit and you're good to go. Let's install this real quick. But ultimately, those requirements are going to be good for the Linux community in the long run. And even the requirements like the TMP and secure boot and all that, it's just silly. It's just silly. One thing that sticks out to me with this beta is the lack of consistent rounded corners. So I will be keeping an eye out on that to see if there's any differences in the overall look of the system. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I feel bad for those who bought a first-gen Ryzen. Absolutely silly requirements. VirtualBox drivers didn't install. We'll check on that. We're updating our system now, so... And if it didn't install, this resolution's not too bad. Because money, that's why. I really like the look of Zorin without modifying the ISO. Yeah, I did use, it was Chris Titus's video that I put out. If I go here, let's drop VirtualBox down real quick and go over here. If we go to Twitter, go over to my Twitter, and then it's somewhere right here. This is me getting it to work on that ThinkPad, and you can see I shouted out Chris Titus Tech. If you go over to the Chris Titus Tech website, you have a couple different methods to do this, including a DLL edit, a registry edits, and bypass requirements using command prompt. I personally went with the registry edit right here, and it worked completely fine. I just restarted my system after I did that, and then through the the Insider Preview Developer option, the Windows 11 update appeared. So that was cool. Do you recommend dual boot? I do not recommend dual boot if it is on the same drive, but if you have two different operating systems on two different drives, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I am currently using Windows 11. I talked about this earlier. I'm going to be using it for like 3 more weeks and then switching back to Linux. And the primary reason I'm doing that is so I actually have experience with it and I know what I'm talking about. Because it's kind of, to me, people who like use nothing but Linux or nothing but Windows and then they bash or talk about the other distribution or operating system like they know what they're talking about, I think that's kind of silly. So I like to use a little bit of everything so I actually know what's going on. What would your best Linux distro for productivity and gaming? Productivity and gaming are two very different things. For productivity, it's all just dependent on you and your workflow. Tiling window managers are nice if you're used to them or you want to learn them. For gaming, you can't go wrong with Pop! OS. Manjaro's okay. Garuda Linux has really good support for gaming, so if you want to go Debian, Pop! OS, if you want to go Arch, check out Garuda Linux. If you have the system specifications to support it, which if your primary focus is gaming, I would assume that you do. Did I try Garuda Linux? Yes, I did. My main operating system is Endeavour OS. I use Endeavour OS quite frequently. You did miss the installation, but you didn't miss anything. It's just like a normal Ubuntu installation, but I haven't actually deep dived into the distribution yet. But the installation was nothing too exciting if you've ever installed a Linux distribution before. Manjaro exit, yep. Have finally worked on performance, that's good. I remember this Zorin OS was recommended to put on older computers, and I don't know why, because it's not that good as far as what we're talking about. But apparently, so let's go ahead, if we can get this to open. System monitor. It does have updates running in the background, so do keep note of that. But if we go ahead and check out our resources, we're using 12%, which is kind of high, 1.4 gigabytes of RAM. Turn on dark mode, brother. It's 2 a.m. here. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. It's still updating. I was going to wait for that before I went ahead and did anything. But let's turn on dark mode. I don't want to strain the eyes of my fellow viewers in India, because I know it's pretty late over there. So let's go, where would it be? Let's see, notifications. Dun, dun, dun. Color maybe? No, that's for monitor stuff. Is it in settings panel? Here, let's go ahead and search for appearance. Zorin appearance, there we go. Okay, so theme, dark. There we go. And I'll even change the desktop background. We'll go check those out. So, change background. Let's see what they got going on for backgrounds while all this updates. Is that it? Oh no, it's just loading slow. Do know I do have updates running in the background, so hopefully this isn't the performance that we're going to be getting the entire time. Oh, it does look like if I hover over a picture, maybe? No, it's not going to do it. My eyes are literally box left on vacation. I personally don't like the white mode. It's hurting my eyes. Yeah, I'm changing it. I don't want to give you all a bad time. Here, this background's probably nice. We'll stick with this one. Hopefully that's a little lighter on the eyes for you guys. Time-based wallpaper, that's cool. MX Linux. MX is good. Is that the paid version of Zorin? We talked about this a little bit earlier. There is not a significant difference between the free and paid, other than more options in the layout switcher. What you could do with the free version, ultimately, just it's a little bit more work. The paid version is primarily to support the project. Can you delete the swap partition? There wasn't an option for that in the installation. It's Linux, you could do anything ultimately, but the ease of that, I am not sure. So, with that said, we checked out the theming. I'm going to go back to that just so I can talk about it a little bit. We have our layout here. So we have our standard, what this is, which is basically Windows 10 like. It's very similar to even the hovering over icons. It's like the same as Windows 10. Here, let's go ahead and let's pop display capture up here. I'm going to edit this real quick. So let's, oh, that's the wrong one. One sec. Let me work on my VirtualBox here. Dun, dun, dun. Pop that right there. Go to display capture, which is this one. Hopefully. There we go. Look at this. So we have Zorin OS right here, and we have Windows right here. So let's put this like right here, and tell me this isn't basically the same thing. So see these? See these? This is we open this up versus opening this up. Okay, it is a little bit different there. I actually like the Zorin look a little bit better than this Windows over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop back into VirtualBox here and check out some of these layouts. So let's go ahead and select this one. And this is more of a kind of old school. You have your applications to launch here, and then it's out with the full text and title of the application. We have Gnome, which kind of sucks. Personally, it's not my preference, but if we go ahead and click this, it brings up your workspaces. So this is obviously a Gnome base, or like somebody said earlier, a very modified Gnome desktop environment. So we have files, that. Let's go ahead and go back to this layout switcher. If I go ahead and switch to this layout, which I personally do like, if it will actually switch. One thing we may need to do, I think I need to give this more processes. I'm going to pop this back up. Let's see here. We want display capture. Sorry, these are all things I should have already done, but it's okay. Bop. We're going to go ahead and shut this down real quick. Power off the machine, because what we need to do is give it a little bit more juice. We need to give it a little more power. So, if you ever want, if any of your virtual machines are laggy and you do need to give it a little bit more juice, you can always give it a couple more cores on your processor. Let's give this 6 threads, so 3 cores. And then we will pump up the video memory and enable 3D acceleration, and then start this up again. Elementary OS versus Pop OS. Pop OS is better, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinion. VM and a VM. Nope, this is not a Windows VM. This is hardware. This is my actual computer at the moment. Not forever, I promise that. How much RAM do you have? I have 32 gigabytes in total, and this Zorin OS is going to be having, I think I gave it 8 gigs? What about Pure Debian? Do you recommend it? I absolutely would recommend Pure Debian. Let's go ahead. I think this is what we want. Nope. Maybe this is what we want. Nope. Sorry, I'm trying to get a VirtualBox back up. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and log in here. If I go view virtual screen, yeah, the VirtualBox drivers did not install properly. That's okay though. Maggie Arch test. I've never heard of that, to be frank. Okay, yeah, see, this is running much better now that I've given it a little bit more processing power. Okay, so files, and like I said, I'm pretty sure this is all just Gnome stuff. So if we go about files, files, yeah, this is all Gnome. I didn't mention the theming of this. I love the icons and everything. That is absolutely beautiful. Checking chat. Microsoft made me make the operating system work on older machines as well. It's a green issue, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the layout switcher real quick. Or appearance. That's where we were. We were checking out the appearance section. So let's go back to what we were rocking before. Now we got this little cutout issue here. So to fix that, I need to enable and disable the status bar. There we go. So now under theme, we have our accent color, and we are on dark theme right now. If I go other, we can see we have applications. You can change that specifically. Icons, you can change your icon, and then shell. It doesn't look like we have much of anything going on. Interface, taskbar buttons we can change. We have the enable animations, jelly mode, which might be making that wiggle. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's like an old school Ubuntu thing. Like, I remember one of the main reasons I downloaded Ubuntu, like, in 2008 was because it did this. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong. But we're going to disable that because I want it to run good. Activity hot corner. We have our taskbar settings here. So let's see what we could change. Before I do that, I'm going to check up over here on you guys. Switched back from Windows 11 because the update kept trying to install again and again. I've been using Windows for years. What distribution, Ubuntu Base, do you recommend for general use? No gaming, just web browsing, media in general. Pop! OS is great, especially now because of the things in Cosmic. Ubuntu, you can just go straight Ubuntu. There's nothing wrong with Ubuntu in my personal opinion, but I would also recommend Linux Mint. Linux Mint is great. All of them are good, ultimately. Maggie Arch, this little country. What country is it that has their own Linux distribution? I'm interested. Well, their own Arch-based distribution. I'd only recommend Pop if you game a lot. I don't game at all, but I use Pop for like general web browser use. But Linux Mint, probably, if I were to have to recommend something. You have used Linux GNU for many years. Can you consider yourself a system admin at Linux? Absolutely not. I am not the... I mean, I know a lot. I could go in, I could configure things, but I'm not like a professional. This isn't like my professional career. Like even coding, I can say hello world in Python. I'm trying to learn Python, but I am definitely not a sysadmin. I would not say that in the slightest. I'm very familiar with desktop environments and the general use cases for Linux and using it on a daily basis and configuring it, but that is really about it. Yeah, use Red Star OS for general purpose use. I would recommend that. Do you think Manjaro is good for beginners? Yeah, it's alright. It works. Basically, for a beginner, just the most stable Arch-based distro that you can find is going to be a good bet. Ubuntu Base for coding and productivity. Like I said, I'm biased to Pop! OS, but yeah, I'm biased to Pop! OS, but Mint is good. I'm trying to think. It depends on your desktop environment. What desktop environment do you work best in? And then go with a distribution that is the default, and you're going to be good to go ultimately. TechHut, you got this. Gnome sucks on 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, you gotta have like 8 gigs of RAM if you want to use Pop! OS. I've been using Windows for 20 years and I want to make the switch to Linux. What KDE distro would you recommend for a beginner? For a beginner, I honestly don't think I could recommend OpenSUSE, even though it's probably my favorite for KDE. If you're a beginner and you're just trying it out, maybe Kubuntu. Kubuntu is great. Manjaro, the KDE version, is also great. I do watch Mental Outlaw here and there. Why does everybody say Pop is the best for gaming? And that comes down to one thing, and because of NVIDIA support. A lot of people have NVIDIA cards, and especially somebody who's not familiar with Linux, recommending Pop! OS is just easy because of that. As far as actual like gaming performance, there's really no huge advantage to Pop! OS other than the ease of getting the video drivers. If you're not somebody who likes to like build your own system, things like that, Garuda Linux is a great option if you're looking for good gaming performance, if you have the system just handle the core of Garuda Linux. Fedora or Gentoo? Fedora, for sure. Garuda Dragon Eyes KDE, yeah, go ahead and try that. I did not try Gentoo, and I probably never will. Like, I installed Arch Base how you're supposed to just one time because I needed to for experience purposes, but Gentoo, no. I'm not going to try Gentoo. Okay, back to this. We're on our Zorin Task Bar. So it looks like we could change the size here, so I could pump it up dramatically. You can see that. Let's go all the way up to 100. What's the max here? So this is the max. I don't think I could recommend that, unless if maybe you're using like a 5K monitor. Let's bump this back down here. Let's go to something a little more modest. Let's just go to the default. They have the intelligent hide override panel theme for opacity. So let's see what that looks like here. Background pixel opacity. So it looks like you could change the default to that. So that's super cool. I actually used Arch as my first distro. Honestly, with the wiki and YouTube, it was easy. Yeah, I have a video too of installing it with a Arch script. And it works. That's what one of the things I did, and it worked pretty well. But this is cool right here. You could change the opacity so you can make your bar down here completely transparent if you would like to. I'm going to undo that for now. We have the position. So wow, this is fairly customizable. So you have all your general positioning, your taskbar positioning, your systems menu, date menu, and all that stuff. So you can move all that around, and then you have your general positioning over here. So I could go left. Let's just stick with bottom. We have behavior options, isolate workspaces, show favorite applications, show favorite and secondary panel, show running applications. So that's cool. Very, very nice. So under desktop, we have the icons on desktop, and we can add like home and trash. So we have those now. What's the resource usage of this OS? So I don't think I have anything running other than the task manager or the system monitor that I'm about to open. Make sure you all can see it. So it looks like CPU wise it is doing very well. 1%, 1 to 2%. A lot of the cores are not being used at all, which is nice. And 1.1 gigabytes of RAM. So that's pretty good, especially for how beautiful this system is. It is beautiful. I don't think I'd use it, but it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so one thing I want to do is go ahead and check out some of the features of this beta. So we're going to go ahead and pop open this Firefox browser here. I'm going to position this so you guys can see it a little bit better. So about there. And I'm going to talk to chat. Let's see. Looks like a fork of dash to panel, yeah. Do you think Ubuntu for desktop might be too tiresome for devs to maintain? They might start focus on server side. I do believe that could be the case, but ultimately Ubuntu, they really do only focus on server side, and they have their slight customizations to Gnome, but it's really not too much. I mean, it's really not that hard to maintain that. And that's like, even with Pop! OS, their team, their new Cosmic desktop environment is really just Gnome and a couple extensions, and as long as they maintain those extensions, they're going to be fine. Can you make a video about gaming on Pop! OS and Garuda Linux? That's something I'd consider doing. Doing something like that, I'd ultimately just be comparing. Well, I have the same graphics card, so I could do something like that. Yes, I do plan on making more Linux application videos, and if anybody does have any recommendations for Linux applications, I posted something in the YouTube community page, so you could give suggestions there if you'd like to. But what we're going to do right now is check out the Zorin OS 16 beta features. just to see the difference. Well, the differences in what has been added and what hasn't been added. So, introducing Zorin OS Beta. Let's see what the actual new features are here. So, a stunning new look. To be frank, I didn't notice a significant difference, so I wouldn't really say it's a stunning new look, but they've made some changes. We've also introduced new artwork just out of the box. Agreed with dynamic wallpaper that changes based on the time of the day. That is super cool, especially with this. They did something like that with Windows, I think. Windows 11 does that, but it's only 2 of them. It's not that dynamic. Let's see, lock screen now displays a blurred version. Okay. Faster and smoother performance. I have noticed this. It's definitely using less CPU resources and even RAM resources, which we just saw. Start menu is still not resizable. Yes, it is. We just checked that out. If you go over to Zorin Appearance. Oh, you meant Start Menu. So yeah, this might not be. The taskbar is, but the Start Menu probably is not resizable. So, larger app library. FlatHub is now included. Perfect. I'm going to see. Let's see. Can I right click on this or anything? No? Zorin Appearance. Yeah, it doesn't look like the actual start menu here you could do too much with. So let's close this out here. FlatHub is now included out of the gate. So they have FlatHub, dev packages, Windows. So do they have Wine? No, they don't have Wine by default. Built-in software store. So after I check out all these different changes, we're going to go ahead and pop open their software store and we can see what's going on. Personally, Golden Eagle does look pretty good. Check the terminal for Wine. I will do that in just a sec. Happy Independence Day for those of you who happen to be watching from the United States. It is July 4th. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, unless if it's like, if you're anywhere near where I live, please do not light off fireworks, because you'll burn down the state, and that's not a very nice thing to do. Okay, so getting started is easier with the tour. I think I might have skipped this by mistake, but it does look like they have a tour. We'll use their little GIF to see. So choose your look with appearance, connect your online accounts, link your phone with Zorin Connect. So they have Zorin Connect, so that's cool. What are you drinking? I am drinking a pub beer because it's Independence Day, and I figured I'd have a couple of these while I stream. They're pretty good and they're not that expensive, so I enjoy them. They're from 10 Barrel Brewing Company. They're pretty good. I actually had these for the very first time at OMSI, which is the Oregon Science Museum of Industry, or something like that. It's a science museum, and they had a After Dark, or it was a OMSI After Dark thing. It was super cool. It was fun. It was like they served drinks. They were serving these in the science museum, which is usually like a kid's thing, but it's really fun if you're a little hammered to go and do all those kids' activities. Careful, you might end up liking Windows 11. No, I'm not going to say I don't like it. I mean, it's running fine. Even for the developer version, it's running good. I prefer Linux still, but some of the things I do like about Windows, and you got to give Windows some credit, because when it comes to just compatibility with literally everything, Windows is compatible with everything. I was able to use my my camera, this DSLR camera, as a webcam, because it actually has the proper software and all that. Yeah, there's just some things. There are things that are nicer about Windows, whether if you like to admit it or not. Okay, so happy Independence Day. Ours is coming next month. Happy Independence to you guys as well. 9th, happy Independence Day. Thank you all. Thank you all. What about deepen resource usage? We are going to be checking that out. Video editor for Linux. I use Kdenlive, but I'm going to be trying to switch to DaVinci Resolve soon because of the color grading and all that. What runs better, Zorin or Pop! OS? I'm not sure, because right now the beta of Zorin is actually running really well, and I am impressed with its performance thus far. So, as we were saying, they have the new little switcheroozy, or not the new welcome screen, so you can go ahead and get the tour of everything. Navigate quicker with your touchpad gestures. It seems like over the last year or so, most Linux distributions have been adding that, but it's ultimately probably just because Gnome has added it. So, distributions are taking credit for the work that the Gnome team did. Ah, my nose is itchy. There we go. Alright, new sound recorder app. Ooh, let's check that out. I can't actually sound record because I don't have my microphone connected to it. But if I go sound recorder, audio recording. So that's cool. So you could do little memos. Ba 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 da da. Yeah, it's not connected. So this is my recording. It looks like you could delete them, you can save them, you could give them names. So that's super cool. Happy Independence Day, American friends. Thank you so much. Both are Gnome after all. Guess what? They are. So they're going to have pretty similar performance. Linux users pay Windows users to edit their videos. I don't. I use Kdenlive, and I'm going to be using DaVinci Resolve soon. So hopefully it works. Garuda for a first-time Linux user. It's good. You're going to have a good time ultimately. It's going to be fun. Farron OS Dev, welcome. Love how frequent it tries to take credit for all the other stuff. Right? Yeah, like most of like this, we were talking about this. This is just Gnome stuff that has been added. A more customizable task bar, which we got into some of that already. We saw that. You can show and hide different sections, different panels. You can move all the buttons around. Redesigned Zorin appearance. Somebody earlier said there's inconsistencies in the rounded corners, but I really haven't noticed that quite yet. Even if let's open up something like Office, and let's open up Evolution maybe. See if these have the rounded corners. Yeah, everything seems to be rounded, so it does look like they've gotten that pretty well. Have you tried the video editor Cinerilla GG Infinity? No, but I'll look that up, see if it's something worth checking out. Coming soon, new Windows 10X or 11 like desktop layout. Oh, what a surprise. Check this out. Open image in new tab. Look at that. Does that look familiar or what? I was just comparing just the default look to Windows 11, and it's... So Zorin is probably one of the better ones if you want to use a Linux distribution that looks just like Windows. I mean, this looks just like Windows. Ooh, they got the new Jelly mode, which we've all also checked out. And it does look pretty good, it works pretty good, but that's just another Gnome extension that they've added to it. Other improvements, it's based on Ubuntu 20.04 LTS, display QR, fractional scaling on high resolution displays, unread badges, easily create app folders. So just a bunch of basic stuff. Nothing too exciting. And then we have all the downloads and we can send feedback here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. This is not the Pro version. The only difference between this and the Pro version is the Pro version you get a couple more layouts, I believe. And it's just generally to support the project. That's why you would end up going with that Pro version. Oh, not tried. This actually looks... Yeah, the UI is pretty good. I do give Zorin credit. That it is beautiful. But I say that because it looks just like Windows 11. Like, before Windows 11 came out, it looked like a really pretty version of Windows 10. And now it just looks like Windows 11. And they're even adding a Windows 11 layout, which will put this in the middle. And then you'll have Windows 11, ultimately. Even down to this. Well, this still looks like Gnome. The icons are super pretty, though. Okay, so that was our look at Zorin OS. Do expect a dedicated video on this later in the week. There have been some good improvements. I am overall impressed with how it looks, but they are kind of taking credit for some of the features that I've just shipped with Gnome as their improvements, which are not, but that's okay. You can't expect too much. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pop this up here, and then we're going to go ahead and shut down this system. And in order to save us